Cameron Stewart sends me a text message that says, let's talk about the best party school in the Big 12. And it was a joke at the time. It is now the third segment of the show. Happy June. BYU has got to be 16. And look, there is I have not made fun of BYU once on this show. Neither of you. In the many times that you've joined the show and we've discussed Brigham Young University, very clear their commitment to faith rocks. Like they have principles. By virtue, and they don't care. You are the 16th. You're rated the 16th.
Hey, when we went out there for a game, there was a party going on in our hotel when we got back.
Was there?
Something like that. The cops were there, so it must have been a ruckus party.
I had a blast in Provo.
No, we went down to Salt Lake, actually, so that might be tied to another Big 12 school.
True. We went down to the Smiths and grabbed some Bang energy drinks, and it was a great time. BYU at 16 makes a lot of sense. I don't know how, and we didn't prep this conversation, so this is completely off the riff. I do not know how you could keep West Virginia from being number one.
That was wild. Really?
Yeah.
I could not believe that West Virginia wasn't number one.
Yeah.
I've seen the pictures. I've heard the stories. I've seen the videos. Couldn't believe it.
So this all originates from a list from Barstool Sports that merges the best athletic program with the best party school and kind of builds you a grid out.
Which is not easy for me to read, by the way. Not easy really for me.
That graphic. It's
pretty challenged.
And trying to figure out which side is for what and who goes where is a lot. That said, having West Virginia as the number one party school in the Big 12 feels objective. Is there another school in the Big 12 where you point and go, yeah, that's a good party school?
Well, new Big 12? That count? Oh. I've heard about Colorado.
And say hello
a lot about Colorado and Arizona State.
Arizona.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think overall West Virginia, the overall culture there deserves to be number one. And I'm glad West Virginia can win in something. It's not often. I'm glad that they could be number one in this. They don't like winning Big 12 championships. So glad that they got to do that. And Colorado's near the top here. And Arizona State. Those are the only ones that I know of. Granted, I went to Baylor, so I'm not like way up on the party scene, I guess. But how about that cluster towards the bottom? That really is the basement is Big 12 here. BYU, Utah, TCU, which is apparently a worse party school than Baylor, and Houston in there as well. A&M not that far in front, even with Northgate and everything that goes into that. I know it's not Big 12, but there's a concerning cluster at the bottom of this list.
I have been to Scruffy Murphy's, and I don't know if TCU has a true equivalent. It's also in a town. It's not a college town. Waco has more of a college scene. TCU has Poop Deck, and you're like, oh, okay, sweet. The Stockyards are great, but there's not college bars. I wouldn't call the Stockyards like TCU's bar scene. No. Oklahoma State and UCF kind of fall in the middle of this list of.
I thought UCF would be higher.
Like middle of the pack athletics, middle of the pack party scene. Iowa State is in the middle of the pack athletics, but favorable party scene. I've heard a lot of good things about Ames. I feel like in general, and Texas Tech is kind of in that middle area too. We have a lot of teams just kind of bookend. It's just right there.
I do remember that historic party run that Tech had in 2019 when the basketball team went to the championship game.
Yeah.
Those videos were iconic, man. Iconic.
Yeah. And it's West Virginia does that without winning basketball games.
Yeah, which is cool.
With or without. I just maybe, and you know what? Maybe in general, the Big 12 is just not a very good party conference. Where I
guess not. Yeah.
Like the Sun Belt is probably this just elite level debauchery. The Big 12,
probably
under Brett Yormark's regime, tight regime, has a standard, and it's rooted in something more
preparing champions for life, if you will,
altruistic, ethical, and moral. Right? Person over player.
That's what I'm going to go with. What I'm going to go with. It's certainly not the SEC or the Big Ten in any of those comparisons, I would say.
No. So I would go BYU at 16. I'm going to go West Virginia at 1 for best party schools. I feel like that's, again, objective.
That feels right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That feels right. Yeah.
Everybody else falls in the middle. Will say the last nugget that I had from this.
That's a good top 3 though. It's not elite, like great, but that's a pretty good top 3.
Arizona State's good. They rated Kansas pretty highly as well. They rated Kansas as a better party school than Iowa State and Oklahoma State. And I just, okay. All right. I don't really hear much out of Lawrence from a mayhem standpoint.
From a I can't understand what they're talking about standpoint.
I don't know if you have any tabs in the Kansas party scene.
I do know someone who went to Kansas and partied, so I'll have to ask.
I know somebody who goes to Kansas now, but they won't be partying. They won't be. Hopefully not. They got some business to take care of. Cam, what's going up on Locked On Big 12 this week?
Oh, we are going to talk with, I hate to do this to him, put up the pressure, but we are going to talk to JT Wistersill of Locked On Utah. So there's going to be some Locked On Utah talk this week and how that might be a little low-key budding rivalry. You know how you and I like to make some new rivalries for Baylor since some of the rivals are leaving the conference. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about other stuff. You better believe it.
This has been, it always will be, Locked On Baylor.
Yep.
And thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Dose Grande.